Hello everyone, Denise here. Today I'm going to show you how to do the Trinity stitch in the round, and I will also show you how to make a top-down hat using the Trinity stitch. Okay, so I'm using a bulky weight, a number 5 yarn, and a 6.5 mm crochet hook. I'm going to start with the Trinity stitch in the round. I'm going to make a headband. So I'm going to chain as many chains that will fit around my head. And then have just a little bit, make sure it's stretched just a tiny bit so that the headband, stays on my head, but does not slip off. You need to be in multiples of 2. All right, I'm going to check it and see if it fits around my head yet, because I'm pretty sure it might. Yep, just fits. So I'm going to go probably 2 more because it was pretty snug, and then I'm going to count my stitches and make sure I have an even count. Chain is twisting because I wasn't counting before. Okay, I have 44 chains. Now I'm going to make sure it is flat and then join in the circle, join in the round, and slip stitch through. Okay, so the beginning, when you're working in the round with the Trinity stitch, it's slightly different than working it flat. The beginning stitch is what is different. So here in this beginning stitch, we're going to do a single crochet, and then we're going to go back into that same stitch and pull up a loop, and then we're going to go into the next stitch and pull up a loop. Okay, that's all we're going to do for this Trinity stitch, and that's not a normal one, but that's all we're doing. We have 3 loops on our hook. We're going to yarn over and go through all 3. Okay, then we're going to chain 1. We're going to go into that same stitch, pull up a loop, go into the next stitch, pull up a loop, and then go into the next stitch and pull up a loop. This yarn has a lot of plies and it's not really twisted, so that's my issue right now. You can see the plies are all hanging out there. Okay, so when you have 4 loops on your hook, you will yarn over, pull through all 4, and chain 1. And then we're going to repeat that all the way around. So go into the same stitch, pull up a loop, go into the next stitch, pull up a loop, go into the next stitch, pull up a loop, 4 loops on your hook, yarn over and go through all 4, chain 1. Go into the same stitch and pull up a loop, go into the next stitch and pull up a loop, go into the next stitch and pull up a loop, 4 loops on your hook, chain over and go through all 4, and I'm going to repeat that all the way across. I might speed up the video. Now when you get to the end here, hopefully my stitch count is correct. I think it is. You'll finish off the same way you've been doing it. And then when you are joining it back into the round, slip stitch, don't slip stitch in that chain one, slip stitch in the top of your single crochet, that first single crochet. Okay, so now we have round one of our headband. We want to chain one and go into this first space here and do a single crochet, and then do what you did the previous round. Okay, so go into your stitch, pull up a loop, go into the next stitch and pull up a loop, and that's it. You have 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over, go through all 3 and chain 1, and then do your normal Trinity stitch after that. So go into the same stitch, pull up a loop, go into the next stitch, pull up a loop, and then go into the next stitch and pull up a loop. Yarn over, pull through all 4. Remember to make your chain 1 loosely, because I did not really do that on my first round, and now it's a little hard to go into the stitches. So try to remember to make your chain 1 loosely. Okay, so then you're just going to repeat that all the way around for this entire round. Just going to do the Trinity stitch all the way around, chaining that 1 loosely. Because you go into that chain 1 twice. You go into it to begin with, and then you go back into it. So see, you chain 1. I'm going back into that chain 1 space that we just did all that. So we do want to make that a little bit loose. And I know I pointed that out in my first video, but I did not point that out at the beginning of this one. So I do apologize for not remembering to say that, because I myself did not do it loosely. It's just better all the way around if you kind of work with a loose tension with this stitch. Since you're wrapping over your hook so many times, it does help to just keep a looser tension if possible. If not, go up a hook size. That could help as well. Alright, I'm going to continue in the Trinity stitch all the way around the headband, and I will meet you at the end of this round. Okay, and then at the end of the round, slip stitch into your first single crochet. And that's it for the headband. You just keep working that same round over and over and over till you reach how wide you would like it. If you're looking for something to keep your bangs away from your forehead while you're washing your face or, you know, cleaning or whatever, this size is fine. You could do another round. If you want to do an ear warmer, you want to probably make it as wide as an ear so that it will actually keep an ear warm. So that's all I'm going to show you for the headband. Now I'm going to show you how to do a hat top down. We'll begin it with a single crochet, and I'll show you how to size it to anybody. Taking some yarn from the other end here, because I do want to finish that headband. So we're going to, I start with a magic circle when I do any hat. You can do a chain 4 and join it in the circle. And that's how I do a magic circle, which isn't really magical. It's pretty much a slip stitch, and it's adjustable. So we're going to chain 1 and put 10 single crochets in our magic circle or ring if you've done it that way. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I can cinch that closed a bit. I don't do it tight until I'm done with the hat, and I weave in my ends. Then you need to slip stitch to your first single crochet. Okay, and then we're going to chain 1, and in that same space we're going to put 2 single crochets. In the next space we're going to put 2 single crochets. And in each stitch all the way around we're going to have 2 single crochets. At the end of the round we will have 20 single crochets. Be at our 20 now. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20. All right, and then we slip stitch to that first single crochet. We ignore that chain 1. Okay, so this is not large enough to be a hat for anyone unless it's a preemie, probably. Double check here. That looks awfully small, so. Got less than 2.5 inches, so even if we're generous, you would take the measurement you have across here, the diameter. You would take, what did I say, 2.5 roughly, and you times it times pi. That's a 7.8, so it would be a very micro preemie if you stopped here and you continued with a hat. Be a very tiny hat. It would be adorable, and the baby it would fit would be adorable. But we're going to keep going because I was looking to make a larger size. Put that aside. Take measure aside. We're going to continue on. We're going to continue increasing just like we would with any other hat. This is bothering me. The split yarn here. So we'll chain 1, 2 single crochet in that same spot. Now we're going to put 1 single crochet in the next stitch, and then put 2 single crochets in the next stitch. And then 1, and then 2. And we're going to do that all the way around. 1, and 2. 1, ending with 1 single crochet. Need to get more yarn loose here. Let me slip stitch to the beginning single crochet, and then I will measure. Now we have a little over 3, so we're gonna just go with 3. Take 3 times 3.142. Now we have roughly 9.5, so this would fit a preemie. If you wanted to go ahead and start your Trinity stitch now. But I'm not going to. I'm going to keep going further. So I'm going to do another round, and we're going to increase just like we would any other hat. I'll chain 1 and put 2 single crochets in that first space, same one as we chained 1, and then in the next stitch put a single crochet, and in the next stitch put a single crochet, and then in the next stitch put 2 single crochets. Next stitch put 1, next stitch put 1, next stitch put 2. One, 1, 2, all the way around. Okay, coming up to the last stitches, we have 2, so we're going to put a single crochet in each of those, and it will always end that way on your rounds. You start with 2, so you're always going to finish with just a single crochet in the stitch previous. I need to get my yarn untangled here. Since I was working from the other end, it is now twisting around. Now I'm going to slip stitch to the beginning single crochet and measure. Four inches. So we take our 4 inches times 3.142. Now we're looking at about a 12.5 inch circumference of head. So it would be a small infant, probably a newborn. The size of a small newborn, this would fit. So I'm going to keep going, probably do one more round, and then I'll probably quit and then start the Trinity stitch. So to continue, we increase the same way, chain 1, 2 single crochets in that first space that we did our chain 1. Then we're going to put 1 single crochet in the next, 1 single crochet in the next, and 1 single crochet in the next. So that's 2 in the first, and then 1, 1, 1. And then we're going to repeat that all the way around. So 2 in the next, and then 1 each in the next 3. 1, and then 2. And we finish our round with our single crochets, and then we slip stitch into the first single crochet of the round. It will get a little roughly when you're working, but that's okay. It'll straighten out. This would be a great coaster. Also would be a great bottom of a bag. Yes. So now we have 5 inches. And let's check the measurement on that. And now we have over 15 and a half. So we're looking at a large newborn at this point. Probably one more round would get us to about a 3 to 6 month size. And then once you get up to, I believe it's 6 inches, that should get you around so 6 inches will get you almost to 19 inches around. And then 6 and a half gets you to 20 inches. So you're looking at a smaller female or teen size. And then 7 inches will get you to about 22 inches, which is an average female head. 7 and a half inches will get you to adult male. So of course, depending on the size of the person, this is all relative to how large they are and what will fit them. But those are that's roughly how you decide how you want to keep going or to stop. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and stop working the hat. If you're not going to stop, you would continue increasing just like we have been. Our last round, we did 2 in the first stitch and then 3 single crochets. So following that, if you're going to continue, you would do it the same way. You would do 2 single crochets in the first stitch, and then you would do 4 single crochets for that round. And then if you still were continuing and increasing, you would start your next round, and it would be 2 single crochets and then 5 single crochets in the next 5 stitches. So you just increase like you would any other project, and just keep going up until you meet the measurement that you want to make your hat for that size. So I'm going to go ahead and stop here. Like I said, I'm at 5 inches right now, which would be a good coaster size, just to compare it with a square one I have. It's a little bigger than the square one I have, but it would work quite well. So if you're wanting to make coasters with cotton yarn, that's a great size right there. Okay, so now I'm going to start the Trinity stitch in the round for the hat. So we will chain 1 and put a single crochet in that same space, and then we will go back into that space and pull up a loop, go into the next space and pull up a loop. 3 loops on your hook. We're going to yarn over and go through all 3 and chain 1. Going back into that same space, pull up a loop, go into the next space, pull up a loop, go in the next stitch and pull up a loop. We have 4 loops on our hook. Yarn over and go through all 4, chain 1 loosely. And we're going to continue that all the way around. So that's the Trinity stitch, and we're going to continue doing that all the way around, making sure we have 4 loops on our hook, yarning over and going through all 4, chaining 1 loosely, going back into the same stitch, next, and next. So I'm going to continue that all the way around, and I will meet you at the end of this round. Then you want to slip stitch in your first single crochet. Okay, and then continuing on, chain 1, go in that same space, do a single crochet, go back into that space, pull up a loop, go into the next space, pull up a loop, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, go through all 3, chain 1, go into the same stitch, go into the next stitch, go into the next stitch. You want to continue all the way around, just like you have been doing. And I'll meet up with you at the end of this round. Finished out your round, you want to slip stitch into your first stitch here, chain 1, go into the same space, do a single crochet, go back into that space, pull up a loop, go into the next space, pull up a loop, you have 3 loops on your hook, yarn over and go through all 3. That's how we're going to start each round. And then we're going to work the Trinity stitch as we normally do. I go into that same space, go into the next stitch, and the next stitch. Yarn over, go through all 4 loops. Going to continue that all the way around. And we're going to continue that every row until you get to the measurement that you would like for the length of your hat. And then you will stop, and then I will show you how to do the brim. I will also list measurements in the description box of average sizes that you can go by if you do not know the measurement that you're trying to achieve for the person you're making the hat. So just basic measurements to fit like average size people. And also the length of the body of the hat so that you have some idea when to stop doing the body of your hat. And it's all depends on the person that it's made for. But if you are doing work for charity, they will find someone to fit it for, right? So perfect measurements don't always matter, as long as you're shooting for a size that you know that they need, because everybody's different. So I will meet up with you when I get just a couple more inches here on my hat, and then I will show you how to do the brim. All right, so I'm towards the end of my round, and I just wanted to be clear on where you slip stitch into the next part when you're starting your next round. So make sure you're slip stitching into that first single crochet of the previous round, so that when you start off, you're not increasing more stitches each round. So you want to make sure that you're into the first single crochet of that first Trinity stitch. Then you'll chain one, you'll put the single crochet in the stitch, the same stitch, and then go back in, pull up a loop. Your next stitch that you go into should be the tighter stitch at the beginning of your round, just so that you know that you're on track. You'll have 3 loops on your hook for this first stitch. Yarn over and go through all 3. Now next time that I come around here, and you can mark it with a stitch marker if you'd like. Let me grab a stitch marker. Okay, so if you want, you can mark your first stitch here that you'll be going into. You'll be going into this one right here. If you want to, you can mark that stitch with a stitch marker so that you don't forget when you come around to that stitch. And then it's easy for you to remember, instead of looking at all this and being like, I don't know where I'm going into. Because if you don't do that, you're going to end up increasing a stitch every round, and you don't want to do that, because then your hat won't come down like it should. In hat form, it will just keep kind of flaring out a bit. So I'm going to continue in the Trinity stitch now for the rest of my round, and I'm gonna make my hat a few more rounds down, because I am not nearly close to having a finished hat yet. So I will be back in just a little bit when I need to do the brim. Okay, so I'm at the end of that round. So I'm going to go ahead and take my stitch marker out and put my finger there so I can remember where I'm putting my stitch. I'm going to slip stitch into that stitch with all of the yarn. Chain one, single crochet, go back in that space, pull up a loop. Now the next stitch is a tighter stitch. Pull up a loop, yarn over, go through all 3, chain one. Now when I come back to this round, I need to know where to put my stitch. So I am going to mark that stitch right here. This is the one I need to go into. All right, it looks like I need a few more rows. I'll probably go 2, because then I'm going to do the headband. So I'll be back in 2 rows to show you how to do the headband. Okay, so I think with the brim, I will have right around 5 inches for the top to the brim. So I'm going to quit here, even though it doesn't look like much. It is for a younger kid, so I don't want to make it too large. I just want to point out that if you wanted, this would be a gorgeous bowl. Very pretty bowl, very, very nice. So if you're looking to make a bowl, create the base up to 5 inches. And then I did 1, 2, 3, I did 4 rounds after the base. So that's a pretty cute bowl. Yeah, I like that a lot. So we're not making a bowl though, we're making a hat. So now we are going to do the brim. I'm untangling yarn. I don't have much yet left, so I might have to find another, find some more of this yarn, which I think I have 1 or 2 more over there. All right, So I don't have much yarn left. I probably will have to grab more in a minute. So for this next round, we are going to do just a single crochet round, and that will make it easier to do our brim. So just put a single crochet in every stitch. Every spot where there is a space, go ahead and put a single crochet, and that will work out great. And I will meet up with you once you get your single crochets completed. All right, once you get to the end of your round of single crochets, slip stitch into the first single crochet. And now we're going to do half double crochets for the band, because I think it will look better than double crochets on this particular hat. So I'm going to chain one and put a half double crochet in the same stitch and in each stitch around. And I will meet up with you at the end of this round to start completing the brim. Slip stitch to your first half double crochet. Now if you're feeling that your hat is not coming in, and I don't feel like my hat's coming in too much, I'm going to drop down a hook size to a J, so a 6 mm. I'm going to drop down to a J, and that will help me pull the brim in a little more. I just feel like it's not coming in as much. And that can also help you with if you added stitches on the back and you didn't mean to. Change your hook size when you get to the brim, and it will help bring the head in. So for the brim, we are going to do a half double right here, but we're doing a post stitch. So it's the same thing as doing a half double crochet. We're just doing it around this first half double crochet instead of say the same stitch or the next stitch. We're going to put it around this. So I'll show you how to do that. So yarn over, go to the back, put your hook to the back of the stitch, yarn over, pull that loop back behind. Now you have 3 loops on your hook like you would with any half double crochet. Yarn over and go through all 3 of those. That would be a front post half double crochet. Okay, so now we're going to do a back post half double crochet. So we're going to yarn over. This time I turn my work just a little bit, and now we're going to put our hook. It's a little fidgety, especially when I'm trying to get it on camera. Put your hook through to the front of the work on the front of the stitch, but the way I'm showing you is behind to demonstrate. Grab a loop, pull it. Now if you put your work right, you'll see that I'm behind the stitch. Yarn over and go through all 3. Now this next one you would do a front, so you would do it opposite of what I just did. And next one you would do the back. And you get used to it once you start doing a few stitches. It's not hard, just a little awkward. You want to do that all the way around. And I will meet up with you at the end of this round and show you how to continue on. All right, so I'm at the end of my round. I am going to finish it off with a back post half double crochet and join in, skip your chain 1 here, join the top of your first front post half double crochet. So you're not increasing at all. Okay, so I do think that helped to bring the head in a bit. Yeah, you can see it coming in now. Whereas it was kind of going out before, it's coming in. So changing hook size helped with that. So we're going to continue, and next round we are going to do the same thing that we did last round, except this round it will be a little easier because we already have the stitches worked up, the post stitches worked up. So we will just put a front post half double crochet in that same front post half double crochet stitch, and then put a back post half double crochet in the previous back post half double crochet. So it's easier this round because we already have the stitches sitting right there looking at us, telling us what to do. So I'm going to continue my hat probably this round and one round after this, and then be done. So I will almost complete my hat, and then I will be right back to you. All right, so my hat is finished. I slip stitched into the very first front post half double crochet when finishing. I'm just going to pull through. I will tell you the finished measurements of my hat. Okay, so from crown to brim, I got about 5.5 inches. And circumference wise, we're looking at 2 16 inches. This brim, when you make it, is very stretchy, so you got a lot of give there. So I would think that this would probably fit a 3 to 6 month old. Wasn't aiming at making it for anybody, I just wanted to make a child size because I usually make adult sizes. So this is completed. As you can see, the top is done with a single crochet, and I think it complements the Trinity stitch quite nicely. You can do double crochet for the crown if you would like. My previous tutorial last month had double crochets to begin the hat from the top down, and you can go check that out. I can link that below so that you can check that out if you want to do half or double crochets for your crown. You can do half double crochets as well. It's just up to you, and you just go by the measurement, so it doesn't matter what stitch you use for the crown. And then finishing off the brim here, if you did not want to do the front post back post, you could just do the single crochet. You could do the single crochet round, and then if you want, you could do the band that you can make just a long strip of, and then you could attach it to your hat if you don't like this method. The other ways that you can make a hat using the star stitch would be to create a panel, a rectangle, and you could then fold it over and cinch up the top and put a band on the bottom. But you already know how to do that if you've made hats that way, if you don't work in the round. This week was more about working in the round. I do want to finish my headband, so I think I'll go ahead and finish my headband on camera. I will fast forward through it so you don't have to watch me do the whole entire thing at a slow pace, but I want to have both of these items finished before I close out my video. So I'm going to go ahead and continue on with my headband, and then I'll just fast forward through this. Okay, so I'm going to leave this at this width. This is a great headband width. If you're going to make an ear warmer, depending on who you're making it for, probably at least go one more round with that. But I'm going to do a round of single crochets just to finish this off. Stitch to that first single crochet. I'm going to cut the yarn. I think I'm going to do a single crochet edge around the other side. Just because I think it would finish it off better. Yeah, it's kind of, it doesn't look as good. So I'm going to attach the yarn and do a single crochet along the other edge. But that essentially is my headband, and I honestly think that this is probably wide enough to be an ear warmer. I don't see why not. That would cover an ear, right? Yeah. I also think that it would make beautiful napkin rings now that I'm looking at it, if it was just really small. Get a small sample of that. It'd be really pretty. Also, if it was in sock weight yarn, that'd make a beautiful cuff around your wrist. So it's just what my brain does when I'm making things. I think of other things. So that is the headband. This is the hat for a child. The headband clearly could be made into a cowl. You just would have to make it a little more loose so that it goes over the head easier, goes around the neck a little nicer. You could do a drapey cowl and do a lot of beginning foundation. So yeah, that is the Trinity Stitch in the round for any circular projects you want to make. And like I said, you could change your brim on this. You could change this up any way that you wish and know how to on your own. I will link my other video in the description below so that you can take a look at that. So yeah, I mean, we covered a lot of things today. We did a headband, we did a hat top down using single crochet, and that could be made with any stitch once you get to the measurement that you are going to work the body in, like we did. You would just continue in your stitch then. If it is a stitch that requires an odd number of stitches, just add one at the end of your single crochet round. When you're completing the base or the crown of your hat, just add one stitch if you need an odd number for whatever stitch that you are doing. The Trinity Stitch calls for an even number of stitches, so that is what I did on this hat, but you can adjust it as you need. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. I thank each and every one of you for watching. And I will be back next week to show what I have at least accomplished thus far this month for charity work. And it might not be a lot because I've been working on other things, but whatever we get done and give away is more than we had originally planned to, right? Donating is for the joy of donating and for the need of the people that need the donations. So depending on what your goals are, if you start out with no goals, whatever you complete it's great. Don't put any pressure on yourself, it's fine. So I hope this tutorial was helpful for you and I appreciate you. And until next time, guys, bye.